Good morning, friends. Welcome back to my channel for another video. Today I'm going to be filming again, and there is a story to that. My end of the year curriculum reviews, where I go through every piece of curriculum we used in our homeschool for all 4 of my kids, and I'm gonna give you my feedback briefly and share what I recommend it, what I not, type of thing. So that way, if you are wondering about something we use this year, you can hear our firsthand opinion and experience for no other reason than to just help you decide if it's something that you think might work for your family. So if you are new to my channel, my kids this year were in grades 8, 7, 5, and 3, and so those will be the reviews that I'm giving you today. I of course already have up on my channel all of the curriculum choices that I used for them when I filmed last summer-ish time frame for this school year. So if you're wondering, well, what did they use for this or what did they use for that, you can go back and look at that. Also, I've been sharing here on YouTube for a while now, and I get a lot of questions about like, what did you use for first grade? What did you use in this situation? And the great part about having shared for so long on YouTube is that you can quickly go back and find my curriculum choices for those ages when my kids were there. So if you're a mom with younger kids and you're wondering what I liked using or didn't like using back then, there's a video definitely showing you that. So now the story that goes what I mentioned at the beginning of the video. I actually already filmed this and I was so detailed. I filmed for about 2 hours and then it accidentally was deleted off of my SD card, and I almost cried because it was so detailed. I talked with you guys for so long and I was so upset that I almost was like, I'm just not even gonna bother doing an end of the year review because I don't know, when I film things, it's kind of like having a deep conversation with a friend. And like sometimes if you have a really long drawn out conversation, imagine the next day having to go and have that same conversation all over again. It's kind of like you don't want to do that. And so anyways, I was so disappointed, but I knew that you guys wanted to hear about some specific things, and so I wanted to get on and do the video. And the ones that got deleted, I separated the grades and stuff, but I'm just doing this in one fell swoop. So this is gonna be probably a long video, but I'm gonna cover all 4 of my kids in this one video. In the video that was deleted, I went through the time and effort of gathering up physical pieces to show you guys, like, and this is what we used for health. I have some of them still hiding under my bed over here, but I did not go through all of that again to go and get the physical pieces to show you guys, so I hope you understand. We are finishing up our homeschool year. From when I'm filming this, I have about a week and a half left, and so all the materials are still like in their desks, and going around and getting them all, you know, I was like, they don't care. They don't need to see the book. They'll know what I'm talking about. So all that to say, we're going to review the curriculum I used this year. Usually I do this before I put up my choices for next year to kind of explain why I'm not using the same thing, why I am. But you guys asked me to do it in opposition, so I did it. So all that to say, we're gonna just talk about curriculum in this video. I'm gonna go through each of my kids. And okay, so starting with what we used for Bible for the second half of the year, I made a Bible update video. So if you're wondering what I switched from and why, go check out that video. But for the second half of the year, we used Master Books, Family Morning Basket Bible Curriculum. It was basically just a collection of books. It wasn't like worksheets or anything. And I absolutely loved it. We combined that with using a book from Answers for Kids every day. We read through the whole 8-book series, and then I also used character trait cards from September & Co. on Etsy. I do have a discount code to offer you guys with them, so I'll put all the stuff, all the links down below. But we loved it. That was our sweet spot. Once I gathered those materials, that was exactly what I wanted to use for Bible time with all of my kids. Loved it, learned so much, had amazing conversations. Highly recommend Master Books for Bible curriculum. Highly recommend the Answers for Kids books and Answers for Teens books. Highly recommend the character cards from September & Co. And she's also a homeschooling mom of 10, and so she's pretty amazing. And anyway, I just love those little cards. So that's what we use for Bible. 10 out of 10, Ashley loves, highly recommend. For history, that was another subject that we did all together. We used history year 3 from The Good and the Beautiful, and we loved it. I actually did an entire video already where I give you my end of the year reviews on specifically The Good and the Beautiful curriculum. So anything that we used from The Good and the Beautiful in this video, I'm not going to go in depth on because I already made a whole dedicated video to that. But I did use a lot of other pieces of curriculum besides things from The Good and the Beautiful, which is why I needed to make this video. But I will just say we loved history year 3. Might have been our favorite year yet. We loved especially the last unit. World War II is just something that my kids love learning about, and I love revisiting as an adult. And I feel like a lot of the lessons and just stories that came out of World War II time they're just really important, especially in this day, in this climate. So we loved our history course. Now that is all that as far as curriculum goes that we did together. I'm going to do a whole separate video on read aloud books that we enjoyed. I've been asked recently to create like a master list of all the books we've loved throughout the years, and if that was something I would have started day 1, it probably would have been really helpful and beneficial. But I, for the life of me, cannot even I would have to rack my brain. I don't know if that's going to be something that I do in the future, like making a list of books we absolutely loved. I know it would have been really helpful, but it's kind of like too far out now to go back and think like, what did we enjoy when Olivia was in kindergarten? It's just, I would have to rewatch all of my videos to like remember the books we read. So anyway, I'll be doing a video at least on the books we read this year that we really loved and which ones we didn't. So I'm not including read alouds in this curriculum review video. This is just strictly curriculum. So now moving on to my daughter who was in the 8th grade. I'm gonna run down her independent or individual rather subjects and let you know what we used and if we liked it. So starting with math, she used Teaching Textbooks 4.0 Algebra 1. I do love teaching textbooks, and my kids enjoy teaching textbooks. There's a lot of really fun elements to it. I like that it is on a computer. I like that it auto grades. I like that there are lectures that go with the lesson, so if they need assistance on a problem, I'm able to go back to that lecture if needed. I haven't done algebra in quite a long time, and revisit a concept and kind of jog my memory to be able to assist. But I really like that I only have to assist. I am not interested in teaching Algebra 1 like a teacher at the whiteboard. That's just not something I have the desire to do. And so teaching textbooks works really well for our family. But I will say there are some disadvantages to having an online math program. One of those things being that when they do updates to the online program, it's kind of spotty for a while. And that can be really frustrating for my kids because sometimes, you know, what is being said on the screen isn't actually showing as the problem, and there's glitches and there's different situations where we can't log in for a little bit of time, and that can be frustrating. So that is the downside to using an online math program, but for us, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. And so we do like teaching textbooks. I really like it for the older grades for a lot of reasons, but basically, you know, I think that well, I'm not going to go into all of it, but I do like it for the older grades. And one thing that I want to briefly mention here is that my son, who was in the 7th grade, also did Algebra 1 on the same level as his sister. And this was the first time in my homeschooling journey where I had 2 of my kids working on an identical piece of curriculum. And at first I wasn't quite sure how it was going to go, but I have to say that it really, really, really was probably one of the best things that I did for my homeschool, because my son really excels with math, and so he's able to deepen his understanding of math through explaining things when his sister has a question. And that, when you're able to restate information and show someone else how to do it, that really deepens the understanding that you have of that mathematical concept. And so it wasn't just for her benefit, it was also for his. So next year they'll be in the same math level again, even though they're technically in different grades if they were in public school, but that worked out so well. So teaching textbooks, we love. Science for my 8th grader was from BJU Press. Distance learning. She did earth science. She loved it. We are using that again next year for my son, who's right behind her. She really loved the teachers. She loved everything that had to go along with it. It was one of her favorite courses that she's ever done, and I thought it was really well done as well. The lessons only took about 30 minutes, so it wasn't anything super long. And I did not purchase the lab kit that went with it, because with the distance learning option, they demonstrate the experiment online. Now I know she probably would have enjoyed doing some of those herself, but it was optional, and so for the price point I thought, well, she might not need that. And then now next year she's going to be doing another BJU science course, and so I'm thinking about getting it just to see if the value is really there. You know, but we didn't have it for earth science and it was fine. So we love that course. We definitely would recommend it. For Spanish, that was her elective this year. She did a BJU course, Spanish 1. That is a high school credit. She took it in 8th grade. She will be getting high school credit for that. And she really enjoyed the Spanish 1 course. Last year, I did kind of like an introduction to the Spanish language just so she could see, does she enjoy learning this? And she really actually does. Her Spanish really impresses me. She's able to say things and read things, and we're able to go back and forth, and it's actually really surprised me how much Spanish I actually remember. Apparently, I was interested in that class, because you guys know if you're not interested, you're not going to remember anything. So apparently I was interested in Spanish in high school, because I actually do remember some of it. And so it's been really cool to see. Spanish 1 with BJU, distance learning option, they take you from the beginnings, very, very beginning, and then, you know, build off of that. And so if your child has no experience with the Spanish language, they could definitely start Spanish 1 and pick it up. And I really, really liked the course a lot. There was a lot of geography study and cultural emphasis on understanding the Spanish culture and the different areas where the language is spoken. And so lots of really good stuff in there, and she really liked it. She said it wouldn't, like, she liked her science more, but she really did like Spanish. For health, I do have the physical copy here. A lot of you guys asked me what I thought about this. So she did the health and nutrition from Apologia. So where I live, for high school graduation, they need half of a credit for a health and nutrition class. So that means basically half of a year of study to obtain that credit. Now, this course is technically recommended for high school, but you know, I was gonna give her the high school credit, get that out of the way in 8th grade as kind of like another elective. And when I shared last year that this is what we were going to be using, I did get some messages from you guys who have kids who are older than mine, and thank you for sending me these, because I was aware, you know, and you were like, that's a really great course, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And I would have to agree with that. This is a lot. In college, what I was learning when I was pursuing nursing was, you know, a lot of what is in here, and that was in college. So this was a lot for her. Not that she couldn't understand it, but it was like, what they would give you 2 weeks to maybe do a chapter. We would spend half a semester learning in college. And so it was like a lot of information, a lot really, really fast. And it went way beyond like basic health and nutrition understanding. So this course right here would actually be really great if you have a child that is wanting to go into the medical field, or even like sports nutrition, anything like that. Because this is like a college course. That's my opinion. This was way too much for her. It was way more than she needed to know, and it was a lot. So if you're gonna use this, be sure to count it as your actual science credit too, because it definitely is a full-on science course that focuses on health. It's not like health, you know, it's a lot. So you'll notice that in my videos where I shared what we're using next year, my son is doing a different health course, and that is because this was just too much, in my opinion. It was wonderfully done. The information is amazing, love that, but it's just way too much for a child that just needs like a basic level understanding of health and nutrition, in my opinion. So for writing and language arts, my 8th grader did a course through BJU Distance Learning. This was the book, the writing and grammar book. You guys know that this was the only piece of curriculum in the history of my homeschool that I have just said, we're not using that anymore, and we stopped in the middle of it. So the course from BJU Distance Learning was half of this writing and grammar, and the other half of the year was a literature course. Now, my daughter loved the literature course. She said it was actually her favorite course that she did, but it was the second half of this, so you couldn't just get that without this, if that makes sense. This was a no-go for us. We stopped in the middle of the year, and I'm really glad that we did. She loved the literature portion, and I really enjoyed hearing from her about that. So that was a nice recovery, because these courses on BJU are expensive, and so I was really disappointed to see like we actually hate this. And this was $350. And so anyway, it was kind of a downer, but she really enjoyed the literature portion, so at least I felt like there was that. And then in addition to that, she did 2 book studies from The Good and the Beautiful, and you guys know we love them. So that's what she did for her writing and literature portion of her schooling. So that is what I had for my 9th grader. In addition to that, I had them doing these gratitude journals. All of my kids did these, and I just got these off of Amazon, and these are such fun little keepsakes. I'm gonna save them for them in like our memory bins, because these are like journals into their lives at this point, and so these were really awesome. All of my kids used those. So now moving on to my son, who was in the 7th grade. I already told you about math. He used teaching textbooks 4.0, Algebra 1, and he loves it. He loves that course. He loves math, and he's pretty amazing when it comes to math. For science, we did The Good and the Beautiful, 3 different science units together, and I talk about all of them in the video that I did strictly on The Good and the Beautiful, but I'll touch on them here. We did mammals, we did space, and we did ecosystems, and he really enjoyed doing all of them, doing the lesson extensions, and then we use some other fun things for science experiments, and so that's what we use for science, and I would recommend it. He did, for his elective this year, I asked him what he wanted to do, and I don't know, oh, I do have it. He was interested in computer coding, so I had this book, Computer Science and Coding, just to give him like a basic idea of what it was, and it really sparked an interest in him, so I think that it was job well done. He's told me he wants to go back and reread this book again now that he like understands what it's saying, because it's kind of hard to understand if you've never done computer coding. But this is what he did for his elective, and I just would have him read a few pages and then answer the questions that were in here, and I think that that was a good intro to computer coding for him, and I would like to find something where he can learn more about that and experiment with it. For his language arts, he did The Good and the Beautiful Language Arts Level 7 and Wordly Wise Level 7. That was kind of his reading and language arts portion, and I highly recommend both of those things. I love them both. So that's everything that he pretty much used. Now, and then he of course had a gratitude journal as well, right here, and I'm going through here and seeing if there's anything else. Now moving on to my son who was in the 4th grade. For math, he used teaching textbooks level 6, I believe, and this is always where I transition my kids from using Horizons math, that's what we've always used, onto teaching textbooks is at the 6th grade. But he was really kind of ready to transition, and so I put him onto level 6, and for the most part it was a review, but I wanted him to start there because I've learned with my older kids, you know, that sometimes there's things that they need to revisit or review, and so I thought that that would be appropriate for him, but it was basically an entire review, so in hindsight I probably should have put him on level 7, but that is par for the course. Anytime you transition over from one curriculum to another, it's kind of difficult to figure out where they land, but he enjoyed his teaching textbooks as well. For science, for my 4th grader, or my 5th grader, we actually used The Good and the Beautiful, which I already said. I used that for all my 3 kids besides my oldest, and he loves those, and we love them. He did Language Arts Level 5 from The Good and the Beautiful with Wordly Wise Level 5 and Handwriting Level, the last handwriting level, and all of those things highly recommend, love them. He has such nice cursive, and I owe it all to The Good and the Beautiful. He also did Typing 3 from The Good and the Beautiful. We use all of their typing courses 1, 2, and 3, and he finished up Typing 3 this year, and we love those typing courses. They're so simple, so easy to complete, and they really get the job done for teaching them how to correctly type and improving upon that skill. And then I had him do Creative Writing 2 at the end of the year when we finished up his language arts before everyone else was done, and that was really good for him to do as well, just have like a whole, you know, couple of weeks focused just on writing and elaborating and expanding his writing, and so we really enjoyed that as well. So that was everything that I used for my 5th grader. So here's his little Wordly Wise book, and we definitely recommend that. For my 3rd grader, and this is my last child, so I told you guys this would be long. For math, I initially started her with our Horizons math, but then The Good and the Beautiful's math course level 3 released in time for me to try it with her, and I've always wanted to try a The Good and the Beautiful Math, which I go into way more detail. But yeah, she finished both of these books this year and we really loved them. With also for math, I had her doing these timed tests, although I didn't time her. This book is like $5 and it's linked on my Amazon, and that's just great for them to review and practice. So that's what we used for math for her, and we really loved it and I recommend it definitely. For science, she was a part of the group and we did mammals, space, and ecosystems, as well as a lot of pages from the seasonal bundles that I sell. So I brought up some of them to show you. So we did like bats and we did so many different things. So this was definitely like a part of our science this year. Foxes, we did Arctic, and we did so many different things. So that was a part of science as well, and I love using those seasonal bundles because I love incorporating what's going on in the seasons and in the holidays into our homeschool. It just makes me happy and it's fun. So we had a lot of fun doing that. For language arts, so she had a gratitude journal as well. Definitely recommend that. For language arts, I had her doing, she needed to finish levels number 7 and 8 for Explode the Code. This was definitely a review for her, but I already own the books and I bought them as a whole set and I wanted her to finish it. So she did both of these. I love Explode the Code. I used it with her from the time she was about 3 years old until just this year in 3rd grade. And it is fantastic for so many different things, but phonics mastery is key for reading. And so yeah, love Explode the Code, highly recommend. She did handwriting from The Good and the Beautiful, also really recommend that. And then she did language arts level 3 from The Good and the Beautiful, and this was the first year that we got to use a newly revised course, and that was really fun, and I love the improvements that they made. We love The Good and the Beautiful language arts across the board. She did typing number 2 from The Good and the Beautiful, and we love that, like I already said, for my other son. And then I had her do creative writing number 1 when she finished her language arts before we were ready to wrap up the school year, and we love that as well. So yeah, all that's left in my little basket of things that they're done with, I told you I didn't go around and like take things out of their desk again, but these items they're already done with, was all the handwritings and then typing 1 because we were done with that. And so yeah, that is every piece of curriculum we used in our homeschool this year. I hope this video helps you guys. I'm really sorry that I couldn't go around and hold up each book and, you know, all of that, but please understand that this is the 2nd time I am filming this video. So I hope at least I was able to give you some feedback on what you may be wondering. If you have any more questions, because I do realize I kind of glossed over things pretty quickly in an effort to keep this from being under an hour, leave them down below and I will be sure to answer them and reply to you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up before you go. It's a free way to support my channel and it really helps me, and I hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you all in my next one really soon. Bye guys.